Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for him. Throughout Earth's history, hemp has been used, no mystery. Hemp was legal to pay your taxes for more than a century. Check your faxes, the founding fathers make sense to me. It's time to grow hemp legally. Think of all its uses, it's money that's well spent. Right now, no excuses, it's time for hemp. Sustainable green industry, that's our intent. A better place this world will be. It's time for hemp. Fuel and food and clothes and soap, housing, cars, yeah, cars no joke. Henry Ford built a car out of hemp. It's time for us to do it again. People be employed with balanced farming as it's meant right now. It's time for hemp. Hemp is a true necessity for the wealth and protection of this country. Thomas Jefferson spoke those words. He knew the value of these words. It's time to lift the hemp band. It's time to make a strong stand. Yes, we can. I know we can. We can make a difference. Yes, yes, we can. Just like birds of a feather, we can work together and lift the hemp band. Down. Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation. Yeah, it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to a program that is focused on the wonderful cannabis hemp plant. And this plant can feed the world. This plant can clothe the world. This plant can make hempcrete that is awesome for a foundation of a building. This plant can make paper. This plant can make 50,000 different creature comforts. And if it can't save the planet, it can darn near save the planet. Thank you for tuning in. I ask that you share us with your friends. That's how we get found around the world. And don't forget, you can go to timeforhemp.news and download all of our programs that we broadcast and release on the various outlets, whether it be radio or TV or YouTube or BitChute or iHeartRadio or iTunes. Anywhere there's sound to be found, we're making sound around the internet. And it's all free to share because we think the best way to get important information into the hands of people who need to learn it is to give it to them for free, which is why you don't find any sponsors at Time for Hemp, but you do find newsletters, you find blog posts, you find videos, and you can also download lots of groovy music about how wonderful cannabis is. And so it's all free to download. Just share us with your friends. Today we're going to feed the brain information about feeding the brain cannabis. A lot of people used to think that smoking cannabis was bad for the brain, but I can certainly tell you recent discoveries and recent research dictates that that is no longer a true belief.
For years, we've heard mostly about the risks of cannabis, but new science is starting to tell a different story. Recent studies suggest that for older adults, cannabis might actually have some surprising benefits for brain health. Researchers at the University of Colorado recently looked at data from over 26,000 adults to see how cannabis affects the brain. They used the UK Biobank, one of the world's largest medical databases, and focused on people between the ages of 40 and 77. What they found was striking. Moderate cannabis users actually showed larger brain volumes in several key areas. These regions are packed with CB1 receptors, the parts of our brain that interact directly with cannabis compounds. The regions showing growth are responsible for our memory, our processing information, and even how we regulate our emotions. But it wasn't just about the size of the brain. These users also scored better on cognitive tests. They were faster at processing information and better at learning new things compared to those who never used cannabis. This is a big deal because it suggests that cannabis affects the brain differently depending on how old you are. While use in teenagers is still a concern, moderate use in later life might actually support brain health. Dr. Anika Guha, the lead researcher, noted that these findings suggest a protective effect we didn't fully realize before. As we age, our brains naturally lose some volume and function. Cannabis might help slow that process down. For policy reform, this science is vital. It challenges the old stoner stereotypes with hard data. Medical researchers are now looking at cannabis not just as a treatment for pain, but as a potential tool for brain fitness. Now, we have to be honest, this was an observational study. It shows a link, but it doesn't prove cause and effect. While the data is strong, we still need details on how cannabis was consumed, whether through smoking, edibles, and what were the specific potencies. We also saw that heavy use might lower volume in the posterior cingulate, an area linked to self-reflection. This highlights why balance and moderation are essential for long-term cognitive health. For us activists, these findings are the foundation for a much larger economic conversation. Industrial hemp is a sleeping giant ready to revitalize local economies with new jobs and steady revenue. Take hempcrete, for example, a carbon-negative material that turns local manufacturing into a sustainable powerhouse. Yet outdated regulations continue to create confusion and block this massive growth potential. Farmers shouldn't be forced to destroy crops over minor THC variances. It's time for common sense policy reform. Studies like the one from Colorado give us the scientific ammunition to fight these outdated policies. We need more large-scale research to understand the full picture of how cannabis interacts with the aging brain. When we understand the health benefits, we can build better healthcare regimens for our seniors. Instead of just managing decline, we could be looking at ways to actually enhance cognitive fitness in later life, and that translates to economic strength. A healthy population and a thriving hemp industry mean more revenue. Industrial hemp promotes a circular economy where every part of the plant is used, minimizing waste. Of course, cannabis isn't completely beneficial for everyone. Individual factors like dose and frequency matter. The goal is to move toward personalized medicine, where use is tailored to the individual's needs and health history. This research is just the beginning. We're looking at how this plant affects the brain over decades. not just days. Imagine a future where hemp is at the heart of our construction, our medicine, and our economy. To the medical researchers out there, keep digging. We need the data to prove what many of us have known for years. Collaboration between scientists, activists, and policymakers is the only way forward. You don't need a PhD to understand that when the brain stays healthy, the whole community wins. Whether it's the air we breathe in a hempcrete home or the cognitive clarity we keep as we age. The global hemp market is projected to reach over $14 billion very soon. That's a huge opportunity. That money means jobs in rural areas where traditional farming has been struggling for years. It's time to push for clearer regulations and a whole plant approach to legislation. This is a global movement, from carbon-negative buildings to brain-positive medicine. So remember, science is finding that cannabis might actually help the aging brain stay sharp. When we combine that health data with the economic power of hemp, the future looks greener than ever. Let's keep this conversation growing.
In recent years, medical cannabis has emerged as a significant area of interest for seniors looking to enhance their quality of life through alternative therapies. One of the primary benefits is chronic pain management. Research indicates it can effectively reduce inflammation associated with arthritis and neuropathic pain. Beyond pain, many seniors report significant improvements in sleep quality and a reduction in anxiety, leading to a more active and fulfilling lifestyle. Recent clinical studies are exploring its potential in supporting cognitive health and its role as a safer alternative to certain traditional medications. It is vital to approach medical cannabis under professional supervision to ensure proper dosing and to monitor for any potential drug interactions. A personalized treatment plan, guided by a healthcare provider, is the safest way to explore the therapeutic benefits of medical cannabis. By staying informed and working with medical professionals, seniors can safely leverage the latest research to improve their overall wellness.
Did you know these days more and more senior folks over 50 years old are turning to cannabis use to help with their medical needs? It turns out that 1 in 5 adults over 50 used cannabis in the last year. That's a lot of us. And we're not just doing it for kicks, we're using it to help with sleep, pain, stress, and even serious health issues. One of the biggest reasons people use cannabis is to help with sleeping disorders. Sleep gets tricky as we age. Cannabis, especially the kind with CBD, can help some folks unwind without knocking them out cold. Many others say it eases their arthritis or helps with anxiety. It's not magic, but for some it's better than another pill. Quite possibly, one of the saddest things to see is older persons becoming zombified due to the opioids, particularly codeine or other hypnotic drugs prescribed to help them manage the pain of arthritis and other conditions. Moreover, some of these prescription medications may even make arthritic pain worse in the long term. Many patients prescribed opioids to deal with chronic pain eventually abuse them, and some become addicted. Cannabis can help seniors avoid or get off such prescription drugs, except perhaps in the most severe circumstances. There are 2 good reasons for cannabis's ability to treat pain. One is that it helps to provide pain relief via the endocannabinoid system rather than directly via the opioid receptors in the body, meaning the addiction potential is reduced significantly. The other reason is that one of the leading causes of pain is psychological stress. Reduce the stress and you can reduce the pain, which is one of the reasons why doctors often prescribe antidepressants to manage pain. The ability of cannabis to manage stress and anxiety is well documented. Several studies have indicated that cannabis can help people sleep better. Some of the potential sleep benefits of cannabis are attributed to CBD, which may help some people feel calmer, but not everyone will feel relaxed when using CBD, and some people may actually feel more energized if using low doses of CBD and little to no THC. CBD products containing melatonin, the hormone that regulates the sleep-wake cycle, may be especially beneficial. Sleep products with CBD are available over the counter without a prescription, but a medical marijuana card will help you access a full range of cannabis that could help with insomnia. Osteoporosis and osteopenia are 2 degenerative bone conditions that affect older people, especially women. Research has shown that consuming cannabis is linked to the reversal of bone loss. This does not mean that cannabis is a cure for these issues, but that the plant could make bones stronger while reducing the risk of breaks. One challenging aspect of getting older and becoming more susceptible to illness is that the appetite tends to slow down. Appetite reduction can lead to weight loss, a general lack of energy, issues with the immune system, and depression. This problem is compounded when taking several prescription pills that all bear their own side effects, some of which might aggravate the issues listed above. Cannabis can stimulate the appetite and help prevent these issues from occurring. Have you ever had to take several pills in the morning, then again at noon, and then again at night? Remembering what needs to be taken, when each pill needs to be taken, and needing to alter meal times to accommodate medications can be a massive headache for both the pill taker and their caregivers. Before you know it, you're taking more pills to counteract the side effects of the other medications, which might not even be doing an adequate job of treating the initial ailment. That's why many older people who start using cannabis find that they can reduce the amount of medication they need daily. Few people realize that constantly taking pills can have a significant psychological impact on older patients. Taking several different medications can wreak havoc on the body, especially when trying to control side effects, getting dosages correct, and managing symptoms. Cannabis can lessen the burden of a heavy pill dosage, or at least take the edge off when it comes to pain, muscle aches, and anxiety. As more research and science support the effectiveness of marijuana's medical potential, many older people are coming around to the idea of medical cannabis. It isn't just for kids or rebels anymore, it's becoming part of how we manage aging. This is Byrne reporting for Time for Hemp. Thank you.
Well, I think this would be an excellent time for a musical break, so we're going to listen to a couple of groovy tunes that I've written and are performed by the Illusions of Music. The second song in this two-song break is called Dangerous Medication, and it's a song about how dangerous it can be sometimes to go and track down the cannabis that you need because you got to shop on the black market. And the first song we're going to listen to in this musical break is called Growing in Time. And it's a song about what it's like when you are given a second chance in life, when people are told sometimes that they have a terminal illness, and with the help of medical cannabis, they beat the odds and they're able to live a few more years than what people expected. They've got those wonderful days where they can build memories with people that they love because they are still here, growing in time.
There were nights when the clock's ticking froze, every second a steep uphill climb, then a shimmer of green arose like a soft little spark in time. When the weight of the world pressed in and the body forgot how to cope, a healing leaf touched the skin and the room filled with breath and hope. We're still growing in time, finding sunlight in shadows we once feared to find. Every heartbeat's a sign that love keeps lifting us leaf by lifeline. Oh, the days realign, 'cause we're still growing in time. There were seizures that stole the dawn, chasing peace from the edge of the day. But the trembling slowly moved on, like a storm cloud drifting away. When the gut storm loosened its hold, letting laughter return to the room, all the stories we feared untold started blooming instead of gentle green spark of peace gave them time, they were never alone. So we honor the gift it gave, every smile, every breath, every climb. For the ones who were saved by a leaf, we keep singing their song through time. We're still growing in time, finding sunlight in shadows we once feared to find. Every heart beats a sign that love keeps lifting us leaf by lifeline. Oh, the days realign, 'cause we're still growing in time.
I've been driving down these back road nights, looking hard for a little relief. Got some friends who are hurting bad, and the law treats mercy like a thief. There's a man who whispers, keep it low, says he's got what helps if I can pay. Funny how the safest thing I found is the one place I can go by day. Dangerous medication, not belief, but the way we get it, turning good hearts into outlaws just to ease a little pain. Dangerous situation, but the truth is we won't forget it, 'cause the risk is in the road, not the cure we're trying to gain. I've seen grandmas clutching paper bags, praying that no one asks what's inside. When the law makes kindness contraband, yeah, even gentle souls in fear must hide. There's a veteran leaning on his cane, says the pills they gave him make him numb, but a little green flower brings him back. Yeah, still he's scared of where it's coming from. Dangerous medication, not belief, but the way we get it, turning good hearts into outlaws just to ease a little pain. Dangerous situation, but the truth is we won't forget it, 'cause the risk is in the road, not the cure we're trying to gain. If compassion had a rightful lane, we'd be walking in the bright midday. But the underground is the only ground where the sick still have to find their way. So I'll keep driving through the quiet dark till the world wakes up and sees the cost. No one should gamble with their freedom just to heal what they already lost. Dangerous medication, not the leaf, but the way we get it, turning good hearts into outlaws just to ease a little pain. Dangerous situation, but the truth is we won't forget it, 'cause the risk is in the road, not the cure we're trying to gain. Yeah. Dangerous medication, not the leaf, but the way we get it, turning good hearts into outlaws just to ease a little pain. Dangerous situation, but the truth is we won't forget it,
ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Randy Washburn, a Canadian cannabis activist.
I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm a researcher. I study drugs and human behavior. So I'm really interested in who uses drugs, what drugs they're using, why do they use them, and what are the consequences for mental health. And like a lot of people in the past couple of years, my team and I have been turning our attention towards cannabis. And we've conducted a series of studies of medical and recreational cannabis users. So one question that people often ask me when they find out that I research recreational and therapeutic cannabis use is, how can you tell the difference? What's the difference between recreational and medical use? And I think that's a great question because it raises some really important issues about just how porous the barriers can be between well-being, health, and pleasure. And I don't think there's really an easy answer. I don't think there's going to be one sort of objective criteria that we can use to distinguish medical from recreational use. There are people out there who have conditions that respond very well to cannabis-based medicines, and they might still use cannabis a lot of the time because they like the way it makes them feel. There are also people who might not think of themselves as medical users, but they get substantial symptom relief from using cannabis. People with back pain who smoke a joint before they go to bed and find that they can get through the night with a good sleep, undisturbed by pain, even though they're having a bit of a flare-up. But for a lot of people, it is clear-cut. They have serious and severe symptoms and illnesses that they treat effectively with cannabis and cannabis-based medicines. And they don't like the feeling. It's an unwelcome side effect. For a lot of people, it's both. They treat very legitimate symptoms using cannabis medicines, and maybe they like some of the other aspects as well. But whether it's recreational or therapeutic or both, what we do know is that a lot of adults in Canada choose to use cannabis. They weigh the costs and the benefits, and they make a reasonable and rational choice to use cannabis. It's well over half of Canadians across their lifetime, and about 20% of us in the past year. So if so many Canadian adults are making this rational choice, what's the big deal? Why do we have this complex and conflicted, fearful relationship with this ancient plant? I think that's really the important question. How did we get where we are today? And where might we go from here? And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about where we are with cannabis. You know, when we think about our relationship with the cannabis plant, we tend to have very short memories. A lot of us will start off, with some of the cultural changes of the 1960s. Some of us will even go back to the 1950s and jazz culture. But really, if we want to think about our relationship between human beings and cannabis, we have to go back a whole lot further than that. This is a pictographic representation of hemp plants being hung out to dry. It's about 5,000 years old. It comes from Central Asia. And that's where our best estimates of early human use of cannabis come from, several thousand years ago in Asia. And whether that use was medical, whether it was spiritual, whether it was just for fun, I don't think we really know. It's an ongoing debate. But what we do know is that this is a very old relationship. By some estimates, cannabis was the first cultivated plant. You could say that cannabis and human beings grew up together. Cannabis has been described as a camp follower. It's a plant that follows human beings wherever we go, and wherever we disturb the earth and make a place for it to take root. Cannabis can, of course, grow wild, but it doesn't mind some help. And for most of our many millennia-long relationship, we've gotten along pretty well. Even as recently as just a little over 100 years ago, Queen Victoria was using cannabis extracts for therapeutic purposes. But like any long relationship, there have been ups and downs. And cannabis and human beings had a bit of a falling out around the 1930s. That's when you first see the term marijuana become popular. It was a term that was coined by cannabis prohibitionists to make the familiar cannabis plant seem foreign and scary. And that's why I don't favor that term. I like to think that my great-grandchildren won't recognize it. And if they do, they'll laugh when they hear marijuana. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to look back on our current era as a strange and confusing time of misunderstanding. So, since we've had this falling out, cannabis and people, how have we both fared? I mean, we're both distinct species with our own biological imperatives. So, what has this interspecies battle meant for people and for the cannabis plant? It's been noted that the psychoactive resin of the cannabis plant, the part that has most of the medical properties, the part that people use to get high, it's been proposed that that evolved to protect and cool the seeds. And that's certainly true. But when we think about how much help the cannabis plant has got from people, we can imagine that the resin may have evolved to serve other purposes as well. The writer Michael Pollan, in a great TED Talk from a couple of years ago, encourages us to take a plant's eye view of things, to try to see things from the plant's perspective. And I think that perspective can be really helpful when we try to estimate what the impact of this battle has been on the evolutionary path of the cannabis plant. I think when we take this plant's eye perspective, particularly here in BC, it seems like the cannabis plant is doing pretty well. It's not native to this region, but it grows widely throughout the area. You know, I think that if I were to take the perspective of another plant species, one that is native to BC, the ponderosa pine. So if I was a ponderosa pine and I had an ego and a self-reflective consciousness, I think I'd be a little aggravated when I looked at the cannabis plant. You know, there used to be stands of ponderosa pine, and now there are caverns and basements full of cannabis. So it seems like cannabis is having a bit of a moment. You know, and not only has cannabis gained a whole lot of territory over the last several decades, it's also diversified. The number of distinct and robust strains of cannabis has skyrocketed over the last couple decades. So in the 75 years or so since people declared war on cannabis, the cannabis plant is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. So how have people fared since we started this battle? What's it meant for us as a species? And I think it's cost us dearly. It certainly cost us a lot in resources. The most recent estimates from the U.S. suggest that the cost of cannabis prohibition is over $40 billion per year. That's over $10 billion in enforcement, $30 billion in lost revenue. And we can imagine that it's proportionally similar here in Canada. But the cost hasn't only been economic, of course. It's been a terrible cost in terms of human misery and suffering. Countless families have been disrupted by crime and by incarceration. And a lot of those come from some of our most vulnerable communities. On top of that, until very recently, we've been deprived of a very safe and effective medicine. So, if we look at this as a zero-sum game, it seems that cannabis is coming out way ahead, and people are really on the losing end. And as much as I respect and admire the cannabis plant, I'm a human psychologist, not a plant psychologist. So my job is to support human health and well-being. And so I'm compelled to imagine a different way that we can maybe tip the scales back in favor of humanity. What would it look like if we called a truce with cannabis, as we seem tantalizingly close to doing? So my team and I just published a study looking at over 600 medical cannabis users from across the country. These are people with many of the conditions that characterize the use of cannabis for therapeutic purposes. People with serious conditions like cancer, AIDS, multiple sclerosis, arthritis, chronic pain. And what we found was that in addition to treating some of the distinct features of these disorders, people were using cannabis for three primary reasons: to help sleep, to reduce pain, and to alleviate anxiety. These are things that so many of us seek treatment for. And our medicine cabinets are full of pharmaceutical products that are designed to treat these very symptoms. Our team was particularly interested in the co-occurrence of anxiety and pain. We know these things go very close together, that anxiety and pain really make each other worse. So we conducted a follow-up study that focused on people who used cannabis to treat anxiety and pain together. And what we found was that cannabis was most effective amongst individuals who were anxious, in pain, and were trying hard to cope effectively with that pain. Cannabis was least effective for people who used avoidant and self-blaming type of coping. We also found that among the people for whom cannabis was most effective, nearly 80% reported that cannabis allowed them to be more active despite the pain. And over 85% said that cannabis helped them to think less about the pain. And that makes a lot of sense given what we now know about how cannabis works in the brain. A few decades ago, neuroscientists discovered that we have our own system in our brains and throughout our bodies that is uniquely tuned to working with cannabis and cannabis-like substances. It's called the endocannabinoid system. And we've also found that there's a concentration of activity of this cannabis system in the amygdala. That's the part of the brain that's focused on processing anxiety, fear, and the emotional content of fear. And the activity of the cannabis in the amygdala raises a lot of really interesting possibilities. We spend billions and billions of dollars every year on pharmaceutical medications designed to treat anxiety, and our existing medications are problematic for a number of reasons. So our team is also really interested in how cannabis might work for anxiety amongst people who don't also have pain conditions. We just wrapped up a study led by my student Kim Crosby looking at anxiety, cannabis use, and psychological well-being amongst college students. And we found something that was pretty surprising, something that runs counter to what you might expect to see in studies of substance use and mental health. The frequent cannabis users in our study, those who used cannabis 2 or more times a week, were less anxious than the non-users, and they were less sensitive to the anxiety that they did have. They worried less, and they worried less about their worrying. So maybe if we can make peace with cannabis, it can help us to start make peace with ourselves, at least for some people. I think it's worth looking into. So if we can start to see cannabis as a tool for assisting with our mental health, what's next? Well, the best studies have yet to be done. Studies that side by side compare cannabis with other popular medicines to treat anxiety. And the reason those studies haven't been done is largely due to barriers that have been set up by governments over the last couple decades as part of the war on drugs. Fortunately, this is all starting to change. Just a few weeks ago, the United States Department of Health and Human Services gave a green light to the first clinical trial of cannabis for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, one of the most severe and debilitating of the anxiety disorders. So it's a very exciting time. And if we can start to use cannabis in this way, what's next? I think there are a lot of other plant medicines that we could make peace with and that might help us with our well-being. Among the most promising is psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms. A recent study found that just a few treatments with psilocybin help people reduce anxiety and depression when they're dealing with terminal illness. There's also an ongoing study looking at the effectiveness of psilocybin for treating obsessive-compulsive disorder. So this is a really exciting time for those of us who are interested in the psychotherapeutic potential of ancient plant medicines like cannabis, like psilocybin, like ayahuasca. There's new studies coming out all the time, and the rate of discovery is accelerating rapidly. What this might mean in a more broad sense is that in the coming years and decades, we may have access to some of the very same medicines that our ancestors used effectively for millennia. It might also mean that we might be able to start to address some of our mental health concerns using our gardens or greenhouses, and I think that in itself could be tremendously empowering. It could also help us to reduce the tremendous environmental cost of producing and disposing of tons and tons of pharmaceutical products into our land and water. And finally, I think it means that the drug talk we're going to have with our kids will be a lot more fact-based and straightforward than the drug talk that many of us got as kids. Thank you very much.
Oh, sweet cannabis, ancient gift, your gentle leaves give spirits a lift. Your verdant hue brings peace to sight. Your fragrant breath makes burdens light.
A partner true, you spark the mind, where words take root and songs unwind. Your healing touch lets visions thrive. You breathe in ours and keep it alive.
Oh, sacred earth, earth's tender grave,
With wisdom born,
of time and space.
your flowers soothe,
The weary soul
restoring hearts
and makes us whole.
through sacred smoke.
The stories rise
The gateway wide,
to realms and skies,
two worlds both open.
and visions new.
Cannabis, we give thanks to you.
The world transforms beneath your flame. Perspective shift, no thought the same. A kaleidoscope of color shine.
Uncharted path through space and time.
The smoke ascends, it sways, it bends. It carries secrets without end. It lifts the heart, unties the hand. Inhaling dreams from
Cannabis is great. Oh,
connections weave, the boundaries fade. A symphony of thoughts is made. In chaos clear, the self draws near, and solace sings as joy appears.
through hazy clouds, the mind will roam,
Ooh.
exploring truths not often known. The questions left, the strife departs, and paints new visions on our hearts.
Galaxies spin above our head. The cosmos calls from grassy bed. Awareness wakes, the stars ignite. The universe is reborn in light.
Inhaling deep,
The muse is seen,
her tender touch.
the muse of green.
She whispers art in tones so sweet.
And sets the poet so complete.
Through curling smoke,
Ideas fly,
imagination,
fills the sky.
her voice inspires.
The poet's pen, the muse of kings, of gods, of men. The smoke ascends, it sways, it bends. It carries secrets without end. It lifts the heart, unties the hand. Inhaling dreams
From cannabis is great.
The smoke ascends, it sways, it bends. It carries secrets without end. It lifts the heart, unties the hand. Inhaling dreams from cannabis is grand.
The headlines hit the sidewalk, hear the old walls crack. Said the plan we were fearing might be calling us back. From a dusty file mark, never know no way. They're changing the number, letting science have its say. It ain't a miracle moment, it ain't overnight. but the future just flickered on a little more light. 50 years of stigma, red tape tied in knots. Now the lab coat's talking about the data that we've got. Doctors leaning forward saying maybe it's time, when medicine's been waiting on the wrong side of the line. No free-for-all confetti, no cross-country plane, but the rhythm's starting to move in a smarter refrain. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, deep in the ground where the truth still grows. No more borrowing pain, no more swallowing sorrow, when the answer's been here all along, you know. Sing it out, let the old rules fall, watch the green rise through the cracks in the wall. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, and the future's calling all of us home. Now the paperwork's moving with a faster beat, from the halls of justice to the clinic seats. Schedule 1 to 3 don't sound like a song, but it means real medicine can finally belong. Codeine down the hallway, steroids next door. Funny how the plant took the longest walk to the floor. Researchers used to whisper like it's something taboo. Now they're speaking in the open, saying look what it can do. Less permission slips, fewer lockdown doors, still need better flowers than the ones from before. Progress don't sprint, it learns how to groove. Every study's saying, yeah, this thing can help people too. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, deep in the ground where the truth still grows. No more borrowing pain, no more swallowing sorrow, when the answer's been here all along, you know. Sing it out, let the old rules fall, watch the green rise through the cracks in the wall. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, and the future's calling all of us home. Down on Main Street shelves with the hemp leaf sign, CBD for the body, peace of mind for the mind. Calm for the pets, rest for the pain. Nature doing what nature's done again and again. Not the lab-made shortcuts, not the chemical tricks, just honest grown medicine finally getting its fix. From the farm row swaying to the doctor's advice, this ain't left or right, it's just science being nice. You don't have to be a rebel, don't have to be brave, just let common sense finally have its day. So dance if you're hopeful, hum if you're unsure. These roots grow strong when the ground's secure. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, deep in the ground where the truth still grows. No more borrowing pain, no more swallowing sorrow, when the answer's been here all along, you know. Sing it out, let the old rules fall, watch the green rise through the cracks in the wall. We're planting our roots for tomorrow, tomorrow, and the future's calling, yeah, the future's calling us home.
Well, I can see by the clock on the wall that we are down to the end of the show, and in just a minute or two, I'm going to be taking time for hemp. I want to thank you for tuning in to the big broadcast today. Don't forget, you can go to timeforhemp.news and download lots of free music and free podcasts and find great videos and blog posts and newsletters all about how wonderful medical cannabis is and industrial hemp is and all the great things that can be done with this amazing plant. We also encourage you to share this information with your friends and to continue your education on this topic. Please get out there and do your own research on this plant. And that doesn't mean just sit and smoke it all day. That means, open up a few books out there. I can think of a handful of great books written by a lot of wonderful authors who have also focused their time and attention on this amazing plant. And also, if you get a chance, don't forget to have a 420 moment with your friends, because everybody knows that when you take a 420 moment, it's always better when you share it with your friends. And I'm going to be sharing this with my friends, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of other things in the future that I hope you find of interest. So please make it a point to tune in often, check the website frequently, and let the whole world know just how important it is to take time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Throughout Earth's history, hemp has been used, no mystery. Hemp was legal to pay your taxes for more than a century. Check your faxes, the founding fathers make sense to me. It's time to grow hemp legally. It's time for him. Sustainable green industry, that's our intent. A better place this world will be. It's time for him. Fuel and food and clothes and soap, housing, cars, yeah, Condo Joe. Henry Ford built a car out of hemp. It's time for us to do it again. People be employed with balanced farming as it's meant. Right now, it's time hemp. Hemp is a true necessity for the wealth and protection of this country. Thomas Jefferson spoke those words. He knew the value of these herds. It's time to lift the hemp ban. It's time to make a strong stand. Yes, we can. I know we can. We can make a difference. Yes, we can. Just like birds of a feather, we can work together and lift the hemp ban. that they've spent.